It was the middle of July for the Hafren 2-day Enduro. This was round 2 of the British Championship Series. And a new start venue this year. We were at the Rugby Club at Llanidloes. Also, a new timing system was being used on the 2 special tests. Each bike was fitted with a transponder. These had been used at motocross and also for car rallies and worked very well. The first special test at Glyn Hafren farm on one big field. This was an excellent test, ridden 3 times on both days by all competitors. The main 50 lap of the course was through the Hafren forest, where the going was testing but not impossible. The weather was perfect this weekend and it helped the course. I think we can all remember the last championship round here back in 1999. I suppose most people made the odd mistake somewhere or other in the Hafren. There were 2 good off-road checks in the forest, but the times weren't that tight, so most of the entry went clean. It was a long first day, certainly for the championship class, going for nearly 9 hours. The experts and clubmen were out there for 6 3/4. The second special test, deep in the Hafren forest, this was cross-country on freshly graded tracks, and chicanes had been put in various places to slow down the riders. This spot, most probably the most difficult part of the test. The championship riders timed twice through here, the rest of the entry just 1 lap. Some of the first day results, we'll start with the Clubman class, and in 4th place overall, Michael Tompkinson from Stafford on a Yamaha 400. He was also in the over 40s class. After the Welsh, we thought that Giz Edmonds would have been one of the favourites this weekend, but he only got to the first test on the first day, and unfortunately the bike seized. Daz Hughes from Colchester, one of the Army riders in the Remy team, finished 3rd on day 1. The Army riders looking very smart this year, new outfits, and most of them riding KTMs. Runner-up on the first day, a local rider from Kayassus, Thomas Davis. He was on a KTM 125. He won the first special test in the morning. We're watching him now going round what looks like a crop circle in the field. Thomas also did the second fastest time on the cross-country test, but he finished the day a long way down on the leader. He was beaten by number 224, Darrell Bolter from Salisbury, riding a Husky 125. Remember, he had won the Welsh. Darrell, only 17 years of age. There were 4 special tests for the Clubman riders, and Darrell won 3 of them. In the expert class on this first day, Andy Frost from Bristol finished 3rd overall on the first day, and he was the top 4-stroke rider. He was on a Yamaha 426. It's a few years ago now, but I do remember that Andy won the Clubman class at the Welsh. Runner-up on this first day in the experts, William Jones from Ystrad Meirig, riding a Suzuki 125. He did the second fastest time on test 1 in the morning. And William was consistent all day, finishing 9 seconds up on Andy Frost. The top expert rider from Cornwall, Gareth Andrew, riding a Husky 250. He won the first test in the morning, but only a fraction of a second up on William Jones. He was off the pace a bit on his third motocross test. Although he didn't win the cross-country test, he did a good time and finished the day 9 seconds up on the rest of the field. In the championship class, Edward Jones was leading the 125s at the end of the first day, but perhaps a little disappointing because he was down in 6th place overall. If you remember, Edward had done well at the Welsh. The Hafren Forest was home ground for the Joneses. On the 2 cross-country tests, his times were 6:11 and 6:18. The top 4-stroke rider was number 3, Wayne Braybrook from Burnley. He was riding a Sandyford Honda 450 and finished in 5th place overall on the first day. I think Wayne may have been a little disappointed with this result. His times on the cross-country test, 5:52 and then a 6:04. His last motocross test let him down a little bit, over 20 seconds slower than the first one of the day. Riding his first British Championship round for a couple of years, Rob Sartin finished 3rd overall on the first day, and he was on the new Alpha 250. Rob didn't win any of the 6 tests, but did consistent times all the way through. This was really a one-off for Rob, and although he went very well on day 1, he decided not to ride day 2. He averaged 5 minutes 52 on the cross-country tests. The top 2 places were taken by the Knight brothers from the Isle of Man. Juan was number 2, riding a Gas 300, and David number 1, and he was on a Yamaha 250. Remember, Juan had won the Welsh, but of course David hadn't ridden that one. Juan, 3rd fastest on test 1 in the morning, beaten by David and also Ed Jones, but only a couple of seconds in it. Both cross-country tests, 5 minutes 37, and he beat David on the second one. There were 6 special tests for the championship class, and David won 5 of them, and he was second on the other. He won all 4 of the motocross tests, and that gave him a 16-second lead over his brother. He won the first cross-country test of the day, and that was the fastest time, 5 minutes 33, and then he was second on the other lap. David finished the first day with an 18-second lead over his brother and well over a minute on Rob Sartin, who finished in 3rd place. At the end of the day, there was sufficient time for the riders to change tyres and clean up their bikes. David with new tyres front and rear. Ewan had changed the back only. David making a few fine adjustments before he finished the first day. The format for day 2 hadn't changed much, although it was less riding time for everyone. The weather was good once again, and the noise inspector, Ron Carter, was out doing his job. Noise test is like giving blood. Yeah. You'll have a cup of tea as well in a minute. Yeah. The unfortunate rider was James Gammons, but his bike had passed the test. Once again, lots of interesting off-road going in the Hafren forest. One extra test for the experts and clubmen today. They had 5. They were timed twice on the cross-country circuit. Daz Hughes had finished 3rd overall in the clubman class on day 1, and he also finished 3rd on day 2. And for the weekend he finished 4th overall in the class. Thomas Davis had finished runner-up on day 1 and almost a minute ahead of Daz, but it was different on day 2. Thomas was well ahead on the motocross tests. In fact, he was well ahead of Daz until the final cross-country test. I don't know what happened, but his time there was 8.5 minutes, and his first lap was 7 minutes 11. Runner-up on day 2 and runner-up for the weekend, a young rider from Inverness, Ricky Meyer. He finished down in 6th place on day 1, and that was because of a slow cross-country test over 8.5 minutes, but he certainly made up for it on day 2. He was 2nd fastest on all 5 tests today. Ricky riding a Husky 125. He was beaten by another Husky rider, Darrell Bolter. Remember, Darrell had won the first day. And on day 2 there were 5 special tests, and Darrell won all 5. He really was in a class of his own. He won the first day by over a minute, and on day 2 he beat Ricky by nearly a minute. So Darrell took the Premier Award in the Clubman class this weekend, and his test times were that quick that he would have finished 3rd overall in the experts. Remember the name, Darrell Bolter. I'm sure we're going to see and hear a lot of him in the future. In the expert class, the overnight leader, Gareth Andrew, didn't go very far. Once round the first motocross test, and then in the Hafren forest, the bike seized and he was out of the event. Huskies had gone well, taking the first 2 places in the Clubman class, but Gareth was out of luck. Andy Frost had finished 3rd on day 1, and the same again on day 2. That put him 3rd overall for the weekend, and obviously the top 4-stroke rider. Runner-up on day 2 was Richard Roper from Halstead, riding a KTM. He'd finished down in 4th place on day 1, and that was because of a rather slow cross-country test. He got it right on the cross-country test today, second on lap 1 and third on lap 2. So who was the top expert rider? Well, I think it came as a bit of a surprise. It was number 103, Kevin Murray, in the Army team, and on day 1 he'd finished down in 8th place. Kevin was certainly up a gear on day 2. He won 4 out of the 5 tests and was second on the other one. And on the first day, the best he could do was third. At the end of the weekend, he was 12 seconds up on his nearest rival, Richard Roper. In the championship class, we knew that Rob Sartin wasn't going on this second day. It most probably would not affect the Knight brothers, but some of the other riders could move up a place. Ewan McConnell, number 10, had finished 4th on day 1. Ewan from Newton Stewart and riding a Husky 250. Much quicker on the motocross test today. The best he could do on day 1 was 4th, but on the first lap this morning he set the second fastest time. He was also going better on the cross-country test. He was certainly up another gear today and never out of the top 3 on test times. He finished 4th on day 1 and 3rd on day 2. And for the weekend, 3rd overall. That was a good result for Ewan. So the battle on this second day once again between the Knight brothers. David had 2 new tyres. Would that make all the difference?
No new front tyre, Ewan. You think you won't need one?
No, I can only afford one a year.
Ewan, sponsored by John Shirt and Gas Gas. His first test of the morning, a little bit off the pace. He finished down in 4th place, beaten by McConnell and Edward Jones. He did the second fastest times on both of the cross-country tests. The second cross-country test was 3 seconds faster than the first. Ewan finished runner-up on both days and runner-up for the weekend, but of course he couldn't beat his brother David. He did beat David on one of the tests yesterday, but he couldn't do it on day 2. 6 special tests and David won them all. After 2 cross-country tests, he was 24 seconds up on Ewan. And he was so fast on the motocross test. "12 seconds ahead after just the first lap. He won this second day by a very big margin, nearly 48 seconds. David's experience from riding in the World Enduro Series this year was certainly paying off. nearly overcooked it as he went into the crop circle. At the end of the day, back at the Rugby Club, there was a presentation for the top 3 championship riders. That was Ewan McConnell, Ewan Knight, and of course David.
Winner of the 2002 PR Holmes Hafren Enduro, David Knight.
Thank you.
David, but on that note, ladies and gentlemen, if you just put your hands together, a round of applause for first, second and third after 2 very, very hard days. And we wish you all a safe journey home.
An excellent championship round put on by the Hafren Dirt Bike Club.